Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another Lindsay Lanka News Weekly Bulletin. English edition, of course. Immigration crackdowns to soaring airfares.
Yeah.
And even a surprise for Disney fans.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So are you ready to get informed and maybe surprised by what's going on down under?
Yeah, let's dive right in.
Okay, first up, immigration. The Immigration Employment Infringement Scheme has really been making headlines.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they handed out a whopping $196,000 in penalties
Wow.
in just 6 months.
That's a lot. Yeah.
That's a pretty clear signal, don't you think?
It definitely is. It seems like they're taking a way tougher stance on employers breaking the rules.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
54 infringement notices have been issued.
Oh.
And Auckland's actually taking the lead with 20 of those.
Auckland again.
Yeah. If you're involved in hiring, especially in sectors like agriculture, construction, or retail, this is something to pay attention to.
And speaking of Auckland, why is it such a hotspot for these infringements?
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the concentration of certain industries, maybe lack of awareness about the rules.
Or is it something worse?
Yeah, potentially even deliberate exploitation.
Right. It's definitely something to think about.
It is. And while they're cracking down on one hand, they're also trying to attract more skilled workers on the other.
Interesting. Where?
Particularly in healthcare. The health minister is actually considering tweaking immigration policy to try and tackle the ongoing shortage of healthcare workers. It's a global issue, but it's hitting New Zealand pretty hard.
Yeah, the green list comes to mind. Fast tracks residency for certain professions. Remember how nurses were initially excluded?
Oh, yeah.
And then they were added back in 2022?
Exactly. Yeah, it just highlights how complex the issue is. They excluded them at first because they were concerned about potentially overlooking qualified New Zealanders. But the shortage was so bad they had to add them back in. Now they're evaluating the whole system.
Oh, wow.
To make sure it's effective.
It's such a tough balancing act, isn't it? Like attracting international talent, but also making sure that locals aren't being overlooked.
Right.
And then you've got to think about the global competition for these professionals.
Exactly.
New Zealand isn't the only country trying to attract healthcare workers.
For sure. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the government's spending plans and some of their new initiatives. Finance Minister Nicola Willis is calling for bold and innovative ideas from public servants.
Interesting.
Which is interesting because they're also implementing budget cuts.
Yeah, do more with less.
Right.
And make it revolutionary.
Exactly. A big task.
It's a challenge.
It is. It seems like they're really pushing for change, particularly in government contracts for social services, streamlining efficiency. Those are the key words.
Okay.
And in the midst of these budget cuts, they're also launching new programs. One that I found pretty interesting is FamilyBoost.
Oh, yeah. What is that?
It's a childcare payment scheme aimed at helping families manage those early childhood education costs.
Okay.
They're going up and up.
This is where it gets interesting for our listeners.
For sure.
If you have young children, listen up.
Yeah.
You might be eligible for up to $150
per fortnight.
Yeah, every 2 weeks.
It could make a difference to the family budget.
Oh, for sure. Okay, where can they find more information on this?
Head to irg.ge.nz FamilyBoost.
I've got all the details.
They do.
Okay, let's move away from government initiatives.
Okay.
Let's talk about something unpredictable. The weather.
Oh, boy.
Strong winds recently caused a bit of travel chaos in Wellington.
Really?
Yeah, almost 30 flights in and out were canceled.
Yeah.
It highlights how vulnerable we are to extreme weather.
Yeah, especially in an island nation like New Zealand.
Right. It's a good reminder to check for updates.
Yes.
And be prepared for potential disruptions.
Yeah.
Especially in areas known for their...
spirited weather.
Yeah, their spirited weather. Okay, but on a brighter note,
let's
talk about Disney. Moana 2 is getting a simultaneous release.
Wow.
With its Rio Mori adaptation.
What? No way.
Yeah, on November 28th.
Huh.
This is huge for Disney.
It is.
And it's a massive step forward for Maori language representation.
I love this. It really shows the success of previous Rio Mori adaptations like Encanto and Lion King.
They did such a great job with those.
They did. Madawa Media is the production company behind this new one, Moana 2. They do a fantastic job bringing these stories to life in a really authentic way.
It's great to see these stories reaching wider audiences.
Yeah.
And helping to keep the language alive.
Absolutely.
Okay, shifting gears to a more serious topic.
Yeah.
Crime and security. There's been a lot of talk lately about police access to private CCTV footage.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
It is. It's a really complex issue.
Yeah, it is.
Because it raises questions about security and privacy.
Definitely. Police in New Zealand have been granted legal clearance to access private CCTV footage through this platform called Auror. It uses automatic number plate recognition.
Wow.
They're accessing this footage over 200,000 times a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. And judges have actually dismissed these privacy concerns,
Interesting. Why?
arguing that CCTV and ANPR don't constitute personal searches because they're only recording public spaces.
Okay.
So it's still generating debate.
200,000 times a year. That's a staggering number.
It is.
It makes you think about the implications for privacy. On one hand, you've got the need for security and crime prevention.
Right.
But then on the other, there's the potential for this technology to be misused or to erode our privacy.
It's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something we need to figure out as a society. Where do we draw the line? How do we make sure these tools are used responsibly and ethically?
It's a question we need to keep asking.
Definitely.
Okay, let's move away from those heavy topics.
Sounds good.
Ready for some good news?
I am. Always.
How about a trip to one of National Geographic's top travel destinations
Oh, wow.
for 2025?
Okay, I like where this is going.
Pack your bags. We're going to Northland, New Zealand.
Northland. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful up there.
It is.
A true gem. Rare wildlife, exceptional diving spots, inspiring conservation efforts.
Yeah, and it's a place where you can really immerse yourself in nature.
It is.
The Poor Knights Marine Reserve comes to mind.
Oh, yeah, such a cool name.
It's a haven for diverse marine life, attracting divers from all around the globe.
What kind of stuff can you see there?
Oh, you can imagine swimming alongside a majestic spotted black groper
Wow.
or encountering an intriguing mosaic moray eel.
Oh, wow.
It's an underwater paradise.
Sounds amazing.
It is. And Northland is also home to the Kiwi Coast Project,
Oh, yeah.
a shining example of community-led conservation.
It is.
Their dedication to protecting the endangered kiwi bird is so remarkable.
Yeah, you don't see that everywhere.
No, you don't. It's a good reminder that we can all play a part in preserving our planet's biodiversity. And it's wonderful to see Northland getting this global recognition,
Deserves it.
putting it up there with some really iconic destinations.
Speaking of global recognition, let's go back to immigration for a sec.
Okay.
Remember our discussion about the government's efforts to attract skilled workers?
Yeah.
There's good news for partners of individuals on certain work visas.
Oh, that's right. Big changes coming for partners of accredited employer work visa holders and essential skills visa holders.
Exactly. Starting December 2nd of next year.
Next year, okay.
These partners will be granted open work rights.
Okay.
They'll have the freedom to work for any employer.
Wow.
More flexibility opportunities to contribute to the workforce.
That's fantastic news.
It is.
Yeah.
Allows partners to pursue their own career aspirations, but also helps address labor shortages.
It's a win-win.
It is. It shows that New Zealand is committed to adapting its policies to meet the evolving needs of its workforce and its communities. But let's switch gears again and talk about some of the economic and environmental trends shaping New Zealand's landscape.
Okay. Sounds good. And you're right, there's more to New Zealand than just breathtaking views.
Oh, for sure.
Let's look at the forces that are influencing everyday Kiwis.
Yeah.
I think a good place to start is airfares.
Ooh.
Remember our conversation about the potential for lower airfares?
Yeah.
It seems like those predictions might be coming true.
They are. The competition between Air New Zealand and Jetstar is heating up,
Oh, interesting.
which is great news for travelers. Both airlines have launched sales recently.
All right.
Air New Zealand offering discounts on domestic routes,
Okay.
and Jetstar promoting even cheaper fares.
Wow, so it's a battle for the passengers.
It is.
And we're the ones who benefit.
Exactly.
With more airlines competing, they have to offer better prices to get our attention.
Exactly. And as inflation eases, it seems like things are looking up for more affordable travel.
Yeah, for sure.
But as always, be a savvy traveler.
Right.
Being flexible with your travel dates, booking in advance, keeping an eye out for those flash sales
Those are good tips.
can make a big difference.
They can. Okay, let's shift our focus from the skies to the ground, literally and figuratively,
Okay.
and talk about New Zealand's environmental performance.
All right.
Remember those rising greenhouse gas emissions we discussed earlier?
I do.
It's a complicated issue
It is.
with some good and bad trends.
For sure.
On one hand, it's worrying to see that total greenhouse gas emissions increased
Yeah.
by 1.1% in the June 2024 quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, the rise in industrial emissions in particular,
Okay.
especially in sectors like electricity, gas, water, and waste services,
Yeah.
shows a need for greater efforts to decarbonize these industries.
For sure. But it's not all doom and gloom.
Right.
Remember how household emissions actually decreased
Oh, that's right.
by 1.2% during the same period? This shows that individuals are taking action to reduce their impact.
That's a good sign.
It is. Awareness is growing and people are making choices to live more sustainably.
Right.
Whether it's reducing energy consumption at home, opting for public transport, or making eco-friendly purchases,
Yeah.
these actions can make a real difference.
It's a good reminder that we all have a role to play. And it's encouraging to see that in the data.
It is.
But it's a collective effort.
For sure.
We can celebrate the positive steps individuals are taking,
Yeah.
but we also have to acknowledge the systemic challenges that need to be addressed.
I agree. There's still work to be done.
Definitely.
But the fact that people are making changes is a sign of hope for a greener future.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Speaking of hope for the future, with all these changes and challenges happening in New Zealand right now, what do you think the future holds for this beautiful country down under? What opportunities do you see emerging? What obstacles might they face? We want to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about travel for a sec. Remember those lower airfares?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that prediction might be coming true
I think so too.
because of the competition between Air New Zealand and Jetstar.
Yeah. They've both been slashing prices to try and attract customers.
So Air New Zealand is offering discounts on domestic routes,
Right.
and Jetstar is promoting even cheaper fares.
Yeah, it's classic supply and demand. With more airlines vying for passengers, they have to offer competitive prices.
It's good for us, though.
Oh, absolutely.
And like you said earlier, a bit of savvy planning can really help.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Being flexible with travel dates, booking in advance, looking out for those flash sales.
That all makes a difference.
It does. Okay, let's switch gears one last time.
Okay.
Back to New Zealand's environmental performance.
All right.
We talked about those rising greenhouse gas emissions,
Yeah.
but it's important to remember that it's not all black and white.
It's complicated.
It is. On the one hand, it is concerning. Total greenhouse gas emissions increased by 1.1% in that June 2024 quarter.
Yeah, that is a bit worrying.
It is. And the rise in industrial emissions is especially concerning.
Which sectors are we talking about?
Electricity, gas, water, and waste services.
Okay.
It shows we need to do more to decarbonize these industries.
We do.
But it's not all bad news.
Right.
Because remember, household emissions actually decreased.
They did, by 1.2%.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In the same period.
They're making a difference.
They are. So whether it's reducing energy at home, opting for public transport, or making those eco-friendly purchases.
It all adds up.
It does. It shows that there's a growing awareness and people are willing to change.
It makes me hopeful for the future.
Me too.
Yeah.
There are still challenges,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
but the fact that people are making changes,
It's a good sign.
it is. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the NT Lanka News Weekly Bulletin.
Wow.
We've explored so much,
We have.
and I hope our listeners have a deeper understanding of New Zealand now.
Me too. It's a fascinating place.
It is. And as always, we encourage our listeners to stay curious
Stay engaged.
and keep asking those questions.
For sure. The more we understand about the world
The better we can navigate it.
and make a difference.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and keep exploring.